Hi, I'm Craig Heglin, the owner and operations manager of Kirkfield Heating. Today we're going to talk about furnaces, how they work, and why it's important to have your equipment serviced every year, and some of the ramifications of what will happen if it's not. For instance, I have a furnace here that we recently condemned out of a customer's home. And now I did the inspection on this furnace as well on that day. And when I do it, I look at the whole furnace, not just what it initially failed. I'm trying to remember now, I think it was a exhaust blower had failed on this one. So, I mean, a lot of service guys will walk in, change the exhaust blower, fire it back up, and away they go. Well, that's not exactly how we operate. We actually look at the whole furnace to make sure there's nothing else that potentially could be coming down the pike at the customer, make sure that they're safe before we fire that equipment up. One of the crucial things that we look at is the heat exchanger. So I opened up an inspection hole and I took my scope and I took a look inside, and initially I saw a lot of what they call hot spots, where the actual heat exchanger itself has actually changed color, okay, and has gotten quite dark. That's signs of overheating. And then I found a very small little crack on the inside of this heat exchanger. But because of all the hot spots and it progressively got worse as it got back, I needed to take a closer look. So again, I took my scope around and I actually took a look at the back, and you can see where we actually had a catastrophic failure of the heat exchanger. It had completely blown out. I can stick my entire little finger inside the heat exchanger here at the back. When I looked at the actual cover, that's insulated cabinetry that encloses it, there was all sorts of darkness on the back here of this tinfoil coated insulation. So that means the flames were actually shooting right out of here. Never mind just the fumes getting out, but the actual flames themselves. So had this been a very, very dirty duct system, could have actually caused a fire. So it was quite important that we actually found this, rather than just firing the equipment up and giving it to the, giving that customer a false sense of security that he's got equipment up and running again that's safe. So in this case, combination of the part over here, combination of what it would take to change the part here, and there was a couple other maintenance issues, dirty this, dirty that. They elected to just change the equipment out and get new equipment. One of the things that we did for them as well is we put them into a better filter system. I don't want to see and a maintenance program, because I don't want to see this happen to them again, okay? What a furnace actually does is it creates heat for you, okay? So it's making heat. Now what we got to do is make sure that that heat is properly taken from the furnace and distributed through your house, okay? Airflow is so crucial. So again, if you actually have a restriction, let's say a dirty furnace filter, dirty secondary coil, dirty evaporator coil, whatever it might be, any kind of air restriction that stops the ability for that air to move across the heat exchanger, distribute evenly throughout the house. And that's when we start to overheat at the furnace. Overheating furnaces are the leading contributor to catastrophic part failure of the heat exchanger, premature part failure of other furnace component parts. Everything starts to overheat. And in this kind of situation, it really becomes detrimental to the well-being of the people that live in the home as well. So now that you've seen what can happen to a heat exchanger or to your furnace in general, you know again why airflow is so important. Okay, for instance, most people have just like a 1-inch air filter in their house. Marketing tends to fool customers into believing good up to 3 months means that they don't have to change their furnace filter for 3 months, and that means they only have to change it 4 times a year. Well, that is in ideal situations. Most people are not living in those ideal situations with clean ductwork and everything like that, and we're generating dirt, whether it's through pets or what have you, and kids creating dirt and dust and that in the house and stuff like that. So when you have, again, a restrictive air filter, you're gonna have problems. Most 1-inch filters, you're gonna have to change them every 30 days. Okay, sometimes more. If you need to do it more, maybe you should be looking at duct cleaning. For instance, here's a typical 1-inch filter, okay? It's actually not all that, it is dirty, but it isn't that dirty. But you can see that it actually is bowed out here. So like this, so that it actually, that means the fan's trying to suck air through the filter and it's not getting the job done. That's why it's actually bowing the filter in, okay? So that's not a good sign. That means we have air restrictions, okay? So this filter was desperately needed changing even though it wasn't all that dirty. So typically now what we do in all new installations, now we go to a much larger filter. For example, we go to a 5-inch wide filter. The reason we go to a 5-inch wide filter is because of the pleats in here. So when you can go in 5 inches back and forth like that, you have a lot more surface area. This is like the bellows in an accordion. If I was to unfold it, it would cover a good surface area of that wall. So again, a lot more surface area, more air can get through. It's not gonna bow out like that or restrict the air from getting into your furnace. These filters, in an ideal situation, can be good up to a year. Some homes, it's gotta be done twice a year, okay? I hope this has been informative for you. Again, have your furnace serviced, looked over by a professional once a year for your own peace of mind, health, and well-being. And give us a call if you want to make an appointment. It's Kirkfield Heating at 661-5898. That's area code 204-661-5898.